The people that took the chlorella algae, which is the green one we call ENERGYbits, healed from the radiation poisoning. And so
when Catherine's younger sister was diagnosed with breast cancer, she set out to find the most powerful, alkaline, nutrient-dense foods that could aid healing. What she discovered... Welcome to the Heal with Kelly podcast. I'm Kelly Noonan-Gorse, and every week I speak to the leading doctors, healers, spiritual teachers, and scientists to find out what is truly possible when it comes to healing. I also interview real people with extraordinary healing stories. My philosophy is, what's possible for one is possible for all. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful journey of remembering our divine nature and tapping into the truths that shall set us free. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Heal with Kelly podcast. I'm Kelly Gorse, your host, and today I'm here with the beautiful Catharine Arnston, who I am super excited to speak to today because I just love discovering new things that resonate so deeply with my work and my body and my health goals. And so in preparing for this interview, I learned so much about microalgae and the benefits, and we are going to share all of that with you today. So a little bit about Catharine. When Catherine's younger sister was diagnosed with breast cancer, she set out to find the most powerful, alkaline, nutrient-dense foods that could aid healing. What she discovered would change her life, and I'm excited because I know it's going to change mine. And the future of wellness. Her journey led her to algae, the world's most potent, alkaline, high-protein, sustainable superfood, backed by 100,000 scientific studies, the United Nations, and NASA. As the founder and CEO of ENERGYbits, Catharine has spent 15 plus years researching algae's incredible benefits, from boosting energy and mental clarity to reversing aging at the cellular level. Yes, please. She has written hundreds of papers, given lectures at 30 plus national medical conferences, spoken on 300 plus podcasts, and built ENERGYbits into a highly respected global brand. Catharine's passion for the healing properties of algae is contagious and inspiring. As a PhD in natural health, a board-certified health coach and Reiki master, Catharine's scientific fluency and playful personality allows her to explain the science of algae with such simplicity and clarity. She leaves audiences informed, uplifted, and hopeful as they learn that algae is the 4 billion-year-old health and longevity solution they've been looking for. They just needed someone to explain it. And so here Catharine is to do just that. Welcome.
thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. Yes, I feel I'm Mother Nature's voice because she can't speak. Algae is a gift from her. So I can't take credit for algae, but I will take credit for growing it so safely and purely that we preserve all the nutrients. And it's a game changer. It doesn't matter what your lifestyle, your age, your interests, it will transform everything.
Yeah. And I think I heard you say on another podcast that it is the oldest life form.
Yes. So before algae, well, you're going to find out there's microalgae, macroalgae. We're talking about microalgae, and there's thousands of strains, but the two most common are spirulina and chlorella. Spirulina is actually a bacteria. It's called a cyanobacteria. And a cyanobacteria was the first life on Earth almost 4 billion years ago. Before it started, there was there was just gas and water on Earth, no oxygen, no life. Nobody knows why this cyanobacteria like spirulina started growing, but it did, and it released oxygen, and then other life forms started growing. And a little interesting segue is that cyanobacteria eventually evolved into our mitochondria, which we'll talk about. But that's why I call spirulina spiritualina, because there's something spiritual about being the first life on Earth, and it's still here. So, but nobody knows about it, so that's what I'm trying to do.
And it's blue-green, like my branding here.
Yes, spirulina is a blue-green algae. The other algae we'll talk about is chlorella, which is a green algae.
Green. Yeah, and so I love it that everything that I'm learning and discovering is that we are so sick today because we have disconnected from nature. Yeah. And like you said, Mother Nature is very, she's very happy that you are treating her first baby.
Mom is proud of me.
She's proud of you for growing this, and cultivating this first life form in its purest form, and you discovered all of her healing properties.
Yeah.
So talk to me
pretty incredible.
A little bit about your sister's journey and how she got diagnosed, sent you on this investigation
Yeah.
and this is the answer you found, and did it work for her?
Oh, yeah, well, everything worked for her. It was one of the things that I'd found because I wasn't really. Wasn't planning on building a company. I just wanted to help my sister. By the way, she completely healed and she's 15 years cancer free. So that was the best news of all. But it was her oncologist. So not just her neighbor or her yoga instructor who told her to change her diet to an alkaline diet. It was her oncologist. So that's a pretty serious individual, well-informed.
That's an awesome
and
oncologist.
It was in Canada, by the way, so because I'm Canadian, and it may not have happened here, but nonetheless, she told her she needed an alkaline diet to help with her healing, but didn't tell her exactly what an alkaline diet did. And I had an MBA and was doing international business, nothing to do with nutrition, knew nothing, but I love my sister, and that's why I recently wrote this little booklet called The Algae Love Story, I'll get to in a minute. So I found all these different foods that were alkaline. It turned out to be a plant-based diet because of the chlorophyll, which is very alkalining. And also, apparently, there was a German doctor, a scientist back in the 30s by the name of Otto Warburg, who discovered that cancer cannot exist in cells that are alkaline. And there's a scale of 0 to 14. And it turned out that algae is the most alkaline food in the world. So I think that's the other reason why my sister's oncologist wanted her to have an alkaline diet. So I just found a lot of things for her, including algae, but it wasn't exclusively algae, and she did go through chemo. But in the process of finding things for her and learning about plant-based nutrition and the power it had to heal, I thought, and this was 16 years ago. Nobody was talking about plant-based nutrition 16 years ago. I thought, man, this is powerful stuff. Somebody needs to tell the world about it. So I had no nutrition background whatsoever, but I thought, I'm going to try something. So I gave up my corporate career, went back to school, studied nutrition, got a health coaching certificate, and I taught plant-based nutrition for a year at companies, hospitals, for free, anywhere that would let me in. And this is what truly led me to algae in a big way, because as I was explaining about the plant healing properties of vegetables and everything, people were saying, hey, look at, my mother's been trying to get me vegetables forever, but, they give me gas or my kids won't eat them. They take too much work. So then I thought, okay, I've got to find something that gives people the nutrition of vegetables with none of the waste, none of the work, none of the effort, no flavor. And I just dug, and then I found algae, which is the most alkaline food in the world, most nutrient-dense food in the world, endorsed by international agencies for 50 years, grown in Asia for the last 60 years. It's a multi-billion-dollar agricultural crop. Algae is a food, it is not a supplement. And the only problem with algae is two things. People in America didn't know about it or the healing properties, and there wasn't a safe source of it here. So I decided then, which was about 15 years ago, to remedy that. And because the Algae Love Story booklet is about my love for my sister, starting me on this journey, but also that algae loves you back to health. It does everything. And so I was going to read this little one page that I wrote about explaining why algae is the love story of your life, of everyone's life. If that's okay.
Please do read it.
So
I'm falling in love as I learn more about it.
So the algae love story isn't your typical love story. There are no candlelight dinners, no grand declarations beneath the stars. This is a story about an unexpected romance between a woman, myself, on a mission to heal the world, and algae, the tiniest life form on Earth. It all started 16 years ago when I was desperately seeking answers to help my younger sister recover from a breast cancer diagnosis. What began as a quest to help her turned into a love affair with something I had never known about, algae. Yes, algae, the humble, overlooked superfood of the sea. I dove deep into scientific journals, ancient traditions, and modern nutrition, and discovered that algae was the most nutrient-dense ancient food on Earth, with proven healing properties unknown outside of Asia. I had to know more. I became entranced, committed, and passionate about sharing it with the world. But this love story isn't just about falling in love with algae. It's about connection, rediscovery, finding joy, health, and purpose, something I hadn't expected, but ultimately something we all want. That's why the algae love story isn't just about me. It's about you too. If you give algae a chance, it will support and restore you, just like real love does. Algae is the purest form of life, a celebration of nature's genius and a reminder that sometimes the smallest things hold the biggest answers. My hope is that learning about algae will awaken your heart, ignite your curiosity, and maybe, just maybe, make you fall in love with it too. Welcome to algae, life's greatest mystery and untold love story.
Aw, see this passion, like
Yeah.
this is like real. This is real.
This is real. And your body and your mind and your soul and your heart, they know when they've conquered, they found the truth. It doesn't matter what angle you look at algae, it helps you. It's the real thing. It's real food. If you get a clean source that's preserved the nutrients, it's proven to do things. And I'm not a medical doctor, and I don't want anyone to ever change any of their medical processes or diagnoses with their practitioner. But it's proven to. There's nutrients in here that are proven to kill cancer cells, proven to prevent heart disease, proven to reduce inflammation, proven to help prevent or recover Alzheimer's, brain health, gut health, sleep health, skin health, anti-aging, mitochondria health. The list is almost endless and would almost be unbelievable if there wasn't so much science about it. But the trouble is, scientists like to talk to other scientists. They don't know how to express this to us mere mortals. And when I went down this path and I realized what I was doing, I kept telling the universe, find somebody else, because I don't have any science background. I had business, but I taught myself the science. And eventually I understood that why I was the one selected for this, because I'm a good communicator. And I backed into the science. I found the science, and then, as you mentioned, I recently got my PhD because I wanted to confirm for myself and for others that I knew my stuff.
Yeah.
So
talk to me about Asia. Post Hiroshima, and the benefit like that. I just feel like that's
that's where it all started, and that's why algae is grown in Asia. It's not. I do plan, by the way, to grow it in America for mass consumption. We have corn and wheat and soy, none of which are healthy crops and inflammatory. And the gold standard for growing algae is Taiwan, which is where we grow ours. And I drew a line from Taiwan across America to see where I would get, and got me to Florida. The entire climate of Florida is identical to Taiwan, and I just recently moved there.
Wow!
So I fully intend.
There.
Yeah, I fully intend to grow it. But so it's almost unbelievable again if the documents weren't there to validate this. So the reason it's all in Asia is because back after World War II, when the Hiroshima bomb dropped, America committed to help the Asians get back on their feet. And so they sent them all sorts of food. And one of the things they sent them was chlorella algae. And I can explain why and where it came from. It's a little deeper story. But nonetheless, they sent it to them because algae has the highest concentration of protein in the world. It's 3 times the amount of protein as steak. So they sent it to them for the protein and the nourishment. But then what happened was the people that took the chlorella algae, which is the green one we call ENERGYbits, healed from the radiation poisoning. And so the Americans and the Japanese, because this is back in the late 40s, said, like, what was that stuff you gave our people? We need to grow it. So the Rockefeller Institution, and again, this is all documented, they started growing it. They did an experiment. They set up a lab, actually in Boston, Massachusetts, which is where I've been living for 35 years. Again, no coincidence.
Wild.
To grow this for mass consumption because it had never been done before. But in typical fashion, they only gave it a year. They were very impatient. It's a very difficult crop to grow. So after a year, they shut the lab down completely. So the Japanese basically said, look, if you're not going to grow this for mass consumption because it saved our people, we will. So all the research was sent over the Japanese, and it took them 10 years to figure out how to grow chlorella algae for mass consumption, and they nailed it. And then they started growing it, and then other countries in Asia started growing it. Then they started growing the spirulina. So that's why the entire algae industry is based in Asia, is because it started there back in the late 40s and 50s. But it took them 10 years. So that's why in the 60s, there was a little burst of interest here in America in spirulina and chlorella. It was perceived to be part of the anti-war movement, but the knowledge started filtering out of Asia. And then it kind of died down, and people sort of know it as a superfood, know that it has high chlorophyll, because it has 500 times more chlorophyll than arugula and 25 times more than liquid chlorophyll. But nobody has explained the healing properties, not just the nutritional properties. So that's what I've been doubling down on, helping people understand. This is way more, I call it a super duper food.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you have in your ENERGYbits, you have spirulina for the morning and chlorella for the evening. Talk to us about why they're different and what they do differently.
Sure. So spirulina is known for giving you energy, and that's why we called ours ENERGYbits. And it's a blue-green algae, which is why we packaged it in blue to help people. It has two pigments in it. The blue one, which nobody has probably ever heard of, it's called phycocyanin, and I'll spell that. It's PHYCOYCANIN. Anyway, so spirulina gives you energy. How does it do it? Well, a couple of things. First of all, it has the highest concentration of protein in the world. This is why the United Nations in 1974, 50 years ago, held a global conference declaring spirulina algae the answer to world hunger 50 years ago, because it has it's 64% protein. That's 3 times the amount of steak, and it's a sustainable source of protein. So, and it's a complete protein. It has 18 of the 20 aminos, because your body can't absorb protein as protein. It has to break it down into these things called amino acids. So spirulina has 18 of the 20, including the 9 your body can't make. So the way it gives you energy is twofold. It also has a very high amount of B vitamins. B vitamins convert glucose into energy. So the high B vitamins convert all that aminos into energy. And because spirulina is a bacteria, it does not have a cellulose wall. So there's nothing for your body to break down to get access to all these aminos and all these nutrients. So it's very, very quick. We fuel NHL teams, Olympic teams. We just got an NFL team on board because triathletes love this. Marathon. We have ultra runners who run 100 miles, like for 24 or 48 hours, just on the spirulina and water.
Wow.
Because it nourishes your body and gives you energy and mental focus without any sugar, caffeine, or chemicals, so it doesn't upset your stomach. This is why the athletes love it so much. But you will love it too, because the same thing. It also has 0 carbs, so if you're doing intermittent fasting, or if you're a keto diet, or if you're paleo or carnivore, there's no lectins or oxalates. I mean, it's the perfect food. So it gives you energy from the protein being converted into energy because of the B vitamins. But interestingly, it also gives you energy because that, that blue pigment called phycocyanin, because the way cellular energy is created, and you need cellular energy for everything, not just running to the grocery store or doing a great run. It's for your neurotransmitters, your lymphatic system, your heartbeat, your elimination. Everything requires what's called cellular energy, and it's produced through a process where it's called ATP. Mm-hmm. And the process by which it's made is sort of like if you've ever seen a relay race, you have runners that run a distance and they pass a baton, and then they run to the next runner, and hopefully that runner crosses the finish line. So the way that energy is created, it seems very similar, except instead of runners, you have these molecules that pass one thing to the next. And instead of a baton being passed, it's an electron. So you have these electrons being passed, and then at the end result is this stuff called ATP, which is cellular energy. So the blue pigment that's in spirulina speeds up that process if it's a healthy cell. If it's an unhealthy cell, because there's this little thing called cytochrome C, if it's an unhealthy cell, the blue pigment can detect that it's unhealthy and ejects it and kills the cell.
Like AKA cancer cell.
A cancer cell, or what's called a senescent cell. And in fact, the chemotherapy companies use the blue phycocyanin in their chemotherapy treatments now to help with the facility. Wow. So I call spirulina intelligent food, because you have to be intelligent to take it, and it knows what to do in your body. Pretty crazy, right? If you're a healthy cell, it will give you more energy. If it's an unhealthy cell, it says, boom, it's like Pac-Man, zoom, you're gone. And I could go through all the scientific process of how that actually works, but it is all proven. Yeah. So that's how you get energy from spirulina. It's also very nourishing. It's loaded with essential fatty acids. It's great if you're trying to lose weight, because you're just not hungry. There's only 1 calorie per tablet. We have them in these little pouches of 30. Mm-hmm. You could have 30 for lunch. 30 calories. You get 40 vitamins and minerals, all the protein you need, because also women in particular need protein, especially as you get older. so you don't have muscle wasting, especially, or if you're on a GLP-1, you definitely need protein. So this would give you all the nourishment you need, no hunger, all the mental acuity, or if you're doing fasting, you will never get hangry. So, and it takes nothing. If you can swallow water, most people do swallow the spirulina because it's very chewy because of the high protein. I eat mine, but you can put sea salt on it or have it with nuts or fruit or something, but it's very nourishing and low-cal, healthy, and has all these other great benefits.
Amazing. Spirulina,
yeah. We generally recommend it in the morning because usually when you get up in the morning, I have a ton in the morning. You're hungry, you're tired, you want to get out the door, you want it to be fast, but you can have it all day long, definitely before a workout, have it for lunch, have it at that 2 or 3 o'clock slump that we all get. You could even have it before bed because it's not a stimulant. People associate energy with stimulants like coffee or sugar, but and when you have coffee or sugar, it's like putting paper on a fire. So you get a burst and then you get a crash. This is like putting a log on the fire. It goes right to the cellular level. So it's very steady energy, no rush, no crash. I call it steady Eddie. You almost wouldn't notice it unless you were doing something special.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's good
okay,
stuff.
which brings us to the evening and the chlorella.
Yes. So chlorella, you could have chlorella any time of day, but we particularly recommend it at night. And the reason for that is because when you are sleeping, that's when your body is going through a detox repair cycle. So you're getting your beauty rest, and inside your body is when it's doing what I call the scrub-a-dub. So this is the other reason why sleep is so restorative. Algae and sleep are my two big foundations for movement is the other one, and then of course also breathing and sunlight. But anyways,
agree.
Yes, right. So we recommend the chlorella because it has a hard cell wall. It does belong to the plant kingdom. Remember, spirulina belongs to the bacteria family. Chlorella is a plant, so it does have some fiber. And what's really interesting about that particular that fiber wall is that it's the hardest cell wall in the plant kingdom, and it attaches to toxins, heavy metals, everything, lead, mercury, radiation, alcohol, pesticides, glyphosate, and chelates them, which means that they pull them out. So that number one, chlorella is a detoxing algae. When the Fukushima disaster happened, the global supply of chlorella was disappeared within 24 hours because everybody there knows it's the only thing that pulls out radiation. They also used it after Chernobyl to pull out all the radiation. So, and by the way, if anybody's having chemo and getting radiation treatments, this is so important to take the day after, so it will pull out the excess chemo so you're not as nauseous and sick afterwards. So very, very powerful for pulling out toxins. Now, the other thing about that hard cell wall is that it has fiber, so it heals your gut biome, which needs fiber. And it's the highest concentration of chlorophyll in the world. Spirulina has the highest protein in the world. Chlorella has the most chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is very cleansing. It kills bacteria. And if you're interested, normally I have a little slide presentation. I'll send it to you so people can read it, or you can go online. The chemical composition of chlorophyll is virtually identical to your hemoglobin. The only difference is that in your hemoglobin, you have an iron atom in the middle, and with chlorophyll, you have a magnesium atom. But they are identical. So when you take chlorophyll, you are building your blood. This is why a lot of people feel great when they take chlorophyll water. But chlorella has 25 times more chlorophyll than even liquid chlorophyll. So, and if you're taking liquid chlorophyll, that's great, but you can up level with chlorella because A, you get more chlorophyll, B, you get 60% protein, and you also get 40 vitamins and minerals. So don't cheat yourself all of these other goodies. So between the chlorophyll, the detoxing, the fiber that feeds the gut biome, this heals your gut. And so I refer to spirulina as brain food because it heals the mitochondria, which we can get to in a minute. And your brain has the most mitochondria, 2 million per cell. So, and we all know that fatty fish is considered brain food, and a lot of that's because of the omega-3. And I tell people, well, where do you think the fish got the omega-3 from? They got it from algae. It's just consolidated in their body. So you can skip and by the way, fish oil goes rancid by the time you have it, so it becomes inflammatory. So please stop taking fish oil and go to the original source, which is algae. So spirulina is a brain food. Chlorella is a gut food because it has the fiber that feeds your gut biome, the high chlorophyll that kills bacteria in your colon. It pulls out toxins. And here's another great thing, or two other great things. It has the highest tryptophan in the world. Tryptophan is a precursor to melatonin, which is important for helping you sleep. So this won't make you sleepy, but it will help you get into that deep sleep. And the other great thing about it is that a lot of people eat fiber. Why? Because they want bowel movements. Well, chlorella triggers bowel movements. Yes! You'll have a beautiful trip to the bathroom in the morning if you've taken this at night. You could take it in the morning as well. And it's effortless. And most people, if you're on medications, if you're traveling, if you're stressed, if you're eating dairy, if you're, for me, if I eat rice, if you're eating processed foods, you are probably constipated. Not many people are talking about it, but you got to get rid of what I call your junk in your trunk, because it's not just what you put in. The nourishment is what you get from spirulina. The chlorella it pulls out everything, everything that shouldn't be there. It's loaded with not chemicals, all the minerals that you need, like magnesium, potassium, and all the other good electrolytes, but it pulls out the things that shouldn't be there. So I came up with this analogy to help people to remember the difference between the two of them, because I travel a lot and sometimes I get room service. And so you get room service in your hotel in the morning and you're nourished and ready for the day. And I thought, that's sort of like spirulina. It's sort of like room service. It gives you what you need to get nourished and energized and out the door. And then you come back to your room later in the day, it's all cleaned up and the bed's made and the trash is taken out. And while chlorella won't make your bed, it will certainly take the trash out. So it's sort of like housekeeping. So think of spirulina as room service and chlorella as housekeeping. And you can see that they do completely different things, right? And they work very well together. So you really do need both of them because they operate differently. So we generally recommend the chlorella before bed, but you can take it any time of day or take it after athletics because it also pulls out lactic acid. This is why athletes love it so much. And let's not forget, I want to mention again, it does pull out alcohol, wine, beer, spirits. I don't drink very much, but occasionally I like a little glass of wine. But I'm getting older. In fact, I'll share with you next year. Are you ready?
Drum roll.
I'll be 70.
Oh,
and
you look good,
this
girl.
stuff is I couldn't live without it. I mean, I do eat real food, but this keeps me going, and it keeps the nourishment in, the junk in your trunk getting out, and it helps me sleep. It helps me with travel. It helps my skin. I just want these kinds of benefits for everyone, particularly women, because particularly when you get into menopause, perimenopause, we suffer so much with this combination of night sweats and difficulty sleeping and brain fog and weight gain. And a lot of it is because of at that age of when you get to 40, and I'll walk you through what's going on at the mitochondria. We're getting mitochondrial damage, and so they can't create this cellular energy. So nothing is working properly. And women get hit twice as hard because at that age, our hormones drop and we start losing estrogen. And it turns out that estrogen also acts as an antioxidant for the mitochondria to protect it. So everybody gets hit at the age of 40. This is why 40 and 50 is when all these health issues kick in. And I'll explain why with the mitochondria. But women get hit twice as hard because we lose that protective nature of estrogen. So it's a double whammy. So I'm very big on helping support women with their journey, because I tell people as you get older, you can either get bitter or you can get better.
Yes. Well, you came into my life at the perfect time because I just turned 46.
There you go.
I'm doing pretty well, but it could take a turn any day. So now you've given me this kind of little secret.
Yeah.
That I'm going to implement, which I'm super excited about. And you are a walking, living example of energy and clarity and vibrance and vitality. So, the proof is in the Catharine pudding.
The Catharine pudding. Well, it's unfortunate, and I struggle with this a little bit because society seems to want to put an expiry date on our forehead after the age of 40. Certainly after the age of 50, that it's time to wind down. It's all downhill. And I was just at a retreat with the One Commune organization, which is a terrific organization, by the way.
We just had Jeff on the podcast.
Oh, sweet.
We love Jeff and Skylar.
And it was all about women's longevity, and because I didn't know, I was struggling with where to fit in, because people my age are usually retired and, not well. But I'm older than your millennials, but I do have the energy and the vitality of a 40-year-old. And I've just decided that's where I'm staying. That's who I am. That's how I feel. And I want to encourage women to, forget about that expiry date thing. Like, we have a lot of, energy. We have a lot of things to do. We should be finding our joy. You may not find it until you're later on in life. But there's no reason why you can't do that. But it takes energy to live.
Yes.
It takes energy to be engaged with life. And so what happens is we start suffering. We start losing our energy. We start losing our mental acuity. We have that brain fog. And so you think, is this it? Is this how I'm going to live for the rest of my life? And I want to give you a resounding no. It doesn't have to be that way. But like, I'm not much of a cook. My sisters are, but when I ever cook anything, I need a recipe.
Yeah.
And I need the ingredients for the recipe. And then if I follow the recipe and I have the ingredients, I do pretty well. So, but in life, no one's told us the recipe for life, particularly after the age of 40 and 50, is particularly if you're female. And so my recipe for life for us ladies is preserve and protect your sleep. It is going to keep you, that's when you're restoring, that's when you're reviving, that's when you're clearing out stuff. Please take algae, spirulina for your nourishment, chlorella for pulling out toxins. It will do things, and we'll get into some of the science in a minute, that you didn't think were possible, but they are, and they're proven. So these are ingredients in your recipe of how to live well. And we can turn back the clock. I tell people I'm like the real Benjamin Button. I'm not going to look like a 5-year-old anytime soon, but I think I'm going to just be hanging out here in the 40s zone for a long time, because and I walk the walk. I mean, I sleep with a cool room and a sleep mask. At home, I sleep on a grounding sheet, and I drink. Make sure I have my water. I have my routine, and I wake up and I'm ready for the day. And the first thing I go to is water, tea, green tea, and my algae. So I end my day and I start my day the same way.
Yeah, with nature's oldest, most perfect food. I like it. Kids, can kids take it?
Oh man, this is.
I've got a 5.5, almost 6-year-old, and I want to get her on the program early.
Unbelievable for children, especially moms who have kids on the spectrum or autism. And again, lots of science about this. We've had parents anecdotally tell us, my gosh, my children is more my children who are autistic are verbal now. They can focus. At school, they get more focus. Instead of giving your kids a Luna bar on the way to the soccer game, give them 5 or 6 tablets. You can give them as much as you want. I've been at lots of conferences, and I've had people who have been using our product for a long time with their children come up to the table. I even have a picture of this one little girl. She was, I think, 18 months. She must have plowed through literally 100 chlorella tablets in the space of about 2 minutes. She loved this stuff. Finally, I told her parents, I think she's had enough.
She's turning
green. It made me so proud. She had her green little on the corners. But, and it's because she'd been using it since you could give this to newborns, just put it in water. In fact, in Japan, the only thing that keeps the newborns, if they're preemies and they can't digest mother's breast milk, the only thing that keeps them alive is spirulina and water. And I'm the one that went through the analysis and found out that nutrients, especially the amino acids in spirulina, are virtually identical to mother's breast milk. Same aminos, same proportions, and it has something called GLA, which is, again, an important essential fatty acid. And so we know that breast milk is nature's perfect food. Spirulina and chlorella are the next two.
So for people that can't breastfeed and they have to give formula, supplementing with spirulina seems like a good thing to do.
Absolutely. Just put a tablet in water, and because spirulina, there's no fiber, so there's no digestive issue. It's great for pets. So back to the children. So just start them early. Start them as early as you can. Give them as many tablets as half their age or their age. So if they're 5, you could give them 2 to 5. If they're 10, give them 5 to 10. It will, and the kids love to chew them because they turn their tongues green. They think it's really funny. So I like to chew them.
I've never tried the green. I've tried
so
the
that
blue
one's the
one,
chlorella, and they taste delicious with sea salt on them. Or the chlorella, which we call ENERGYbits, tastes like a soy nut or a sunflower seed. It's green. It's green. I know it's an acquired taste, so no shame in swallowing them. But I do want people to know that they're food, so you can chew them. But the kids
Oh, yeah.
They think
Green
it's
tongue.
they think it's one little child called them her green crackers, because of course the children's hands are so tiny, so it was almost like a cracker. Somebody recently called them your green vitamins. I don't know, whatever you want to call them, please give them to your children, especially the spirulina for mental health, and it has very essential fatty acids that's good for brain health.
Speaking of that, aging, as I'm 46, my parents are aging.
Please give it to them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so tell me about the research on, you said reversing Alzheimer's or dementia or cognitive decline.
So there's a great book by Dr. Chris Palmer called Brain Energy, and he's a psychiatrist and on the medical faculty at the Harvard Medical School. And his book is all about every brain disorder. It doesn't matter whether it's Alzheimer's, post-traumatic stress disorder, all stem from mitochondrial damage. And it's because your brain is very fat, has the highest concentration of fat, and fat is very easily oxidized, which means it gets damaged. So because your brain has the most mitochondria, 2 million per cell, 2 million per cell. The second highest is women's eggs, by the way. So if you're having fertility issues, you could have a mitochondria issue. There's 800,000 mitochondria per cell in your eggs. Wow. The third highest is your heart. It's about 8,000. And then it's your muscles, about 5,000. After that, it drops to about 1,000 for your skin and fat cells. So your brain has the most. So your mitochondria, when they get damaged, the first thing that goes is your brain, your mental acuity, your ability to focus. So, and the way it works is because the mitochondria in your cells, your cells have what's called a lipid membrane, which is a fancy word for saying fats. And we've all heard of antioxidants. And antioxidants, so let me go back to the cells. So the mitochondria have that fat lipid cell as well, but they have a second inner membrane. And that inner membrane prevents most antioxidants from getting in. An antioxidant has extra electrons because, and they're very important because they neutralize free radicals. Now, in your mitochondria, where all this cellular energy is produced, called ATP, a byproduct of this ATP is something called free radicals. And the type that's generated in the mitochondria is the most damaging. It's called superoxide because it has 3 unpaired electrons. When you have a molecule with an unpaired electron, it's unstable. And so it wants to balance itself out. So it steals an electron from a neighboring molecule, which then causes that one to be unbalanced. So it steals one. So this is how tissue damage occurs.
Anarchy.
Antioxidants are the big hero. They're like the kids with the extra lunches for all their friends at school. So the antioxidants give away their extra electrons to the free radical.
You
calms
get an
it down.
electron, and you get an electron.
One for you,
Oprah.
one for you, one for everybody. Everybody's happy. No damage occurs. But the problem is the mitochondria have that inner membrane that antioxidants can't get into. You can eat a room full of blueberries, a room full of vitamin C, vitamin E. None of it can get into the mitochondria. And there's been scientific studies that say antioxidants don't help with longevity. Yeah, because you've been studying the wrong antioxidants. The only antioxidants, there's a handful that can get in. And drumroll, no surprise, they're all in the algae. Why? Because, of course, algae was the precursor to your mitochondria. So the three that I know of for sure are chlorophyll, glutathione, and this one that nobody's probably heard of before called, it's a long word, sorry, superoxide dismutase. It's 2 words, also known as SOD. Now, this superoxide dismutase is the most important antioxidant, and sadly, it's one that virtually nobody knows about in the public. The scientists know about it. In fact, there are 25,000 studies documenting how superoxide dismutase stops Alzheimer's, stops heart disease, stops inflammation. But none of the scientists know that the highest concentration of this SOD is in algae, particularly spirulina. Now, your body makes it for you from the moment you're born, just like your body makes hormones, makes glutathione, makes superoxide dismutase. Everything's working great from the moment you're born until 30. After 30, your body slows down the production of hormones, superoxide dismutase, melatonin, and by 40, you virtually have none. Why is that? Because We have been on Earth for 2 million years, and up to about 150 years ago, we died at 30. Our biology thinks we're dying at 30. That's why all these things slow down. Your melatonin, your estrogen, everything slows down after 30 and certainly after 40. And so you lose a lot of these protective things of your mitochondria. And when your mitochondria die, everything kind of crashes. So back to the superoxide dismutase, your body was making it until the age of 40. And what does superoxide dismutase do? It converts, it's an antioxidant, and so it converts the free radicals that are a byproduct of this ATP cellular energy into harmless water and oxygen. So it doesn't damage the mitochondria. I make the analogy, it's like a big golf umbrella. I don't golf, but if anyone's ever seen those big golf umbrellas, I mean, you can get a family of 5 underneath one of those big golf umbrellas. Now, when you pop up one of those golf umbrellas, you don't stop the rain, but you stop the rain from hitting you. So with the superoxide dismutase, it's like a golf umbrella. It doesn't stop the rain of free radicals, but it stops them from hitting the mitochondria because it converts them into water and oxygen. Now, that big golf umbrella that you had from the moment you're born until 30 or maybe 35, by the time you hit 40, it's now the size of a totes umbrella. So now some of those raindrops, free radicals, are hitting the mitochondria. This is when you start getting mitochondrial damage. And by the time you are 50, your big golf umbrella is the size of a cocktail umbrella, virtually useless. So remember, you never stopped the rain of free radicals, but you stopped the protection. This is exactly when chronic disease hits, when dementia, brain fog, weight gain, cancer, all diseases start kicking in after the age of 30, and they escalate after 50, and they never slow down. And I believe, and the science seems to show it, it's because we no longer have this protection of this antioxidant called superoxide dismutase. But it's in the spirulina, and it's also in the chlorella in a lesser amount, but I always defer to the spirulina because it's a bacteria, and so it gets absorbed instantly and goes straight into the mitochondria. So you get your golf umbrella back. And when your mitochondria die, it's the mitochondria, by the way, as I said, they create all the cellular energy. It's the electricity for your body. It's like the lights that keep a building, keep you working in a building. If you don't have any, if your light goes out in your building, if you're in an office, you pick up the phone, you call maintenance, they come and repair it, fine. But in your body, the mitochondria, which are like your lights, when they go out, there's no maintenance person to call. Superoxide dismutase is that maintenance person. They turn your lights back on, and literally the lights go back on in your brain. We've had people with Alzheimer's, as you mentioned, we were asking about that. They couldn't figure out how to turn the microwave on. They couldn't remember their address. Within 24 hours of taking spirulina, they wrote us, all sorts of testimonies. I'm back, I can focus again. Wow. Because what it's doing, your body is constantly regenerating yourself. This is why the good news and bad news, the good news is if you have a condition, it's not permanent and it's not fatal. Well, I want to be, I'm not a doctor, so we can help correct some conditions. Yes. I don't want to say we can, stop them completely, but we can correct it. So much more is possible.
We are led to believe. Yeah. So just keep open possibility.
Yeah. So but on the other hand, if you have good health, there's no guarantee. You need to be constantly managing your health. And again, back to the recipe, if you know what to take, you can escape a lot of these diagnoses. This lecture I was at the one commune, was a medical doctor saying heart disease is 100% preventable. It's a lifestyle, but we need to know the nourishment. We need to be moving. As women, we need to build our muscle mass. So back to the brain, because the spirulina can restore the mitochondria because it has this superoxide dismutase in it, and because your brain has so many mitochondria, it's the first thing where the lights go back on. Because your brain operates just like all of your mitochondria, and it has its own immune system that needs to be protected, because when you have damaged mitochondria, they aren't able to do what they're supposed to do. And one of the things is clean up things like tau protein that gather on the outside of the cells, which cause damage to the inside of the mitochondria. So then you get less and less acuity. Your neurotransmitters simply can't work. So we can turn the lights back on. It's as simple as that.
I love it.
It's really crazy.
Any testimonials that you've had around? You mentioned fertility because there's 800,000, mitochondrial cells in your, right?
Yes, mitochondria per cell.
Per cell.
Yeah.
So in eggs. So have you gotten any testimonies about people taking your product and then all of a sudden fertility issues improve?
We haven't, because we haven't pursued the fertility issue.
Okay.
There's so many things that we can do. Although I was on a podcast for lactating mothers. That's a very specialized area.
Specific, yeah.
And the podcaster had a practice to help women who were having difficulty lactating, and she started giving her patients the spirulina, and she said the results were incredible. So on that side, but we've had amazing testimonies. We don't recruit, people just send us emails.
Yeah.
So I had one from a woman, she was, I think, 87, and she wrote us and said she was incontinent. She could only sleep 2 hours a night. She had no energy. She was having difficulty focusing, and so she started taking both the algae. And so she wrote us this email, and she said, this has transformed my life. She says, let me tell you what I did today. I got up early. I went to, I did a 3-mile walk. Then I went to see my great-grandson at his school, do a performance. Then I visited a friend in nursing home.
Wow.
I came back home. I cleaned up my garage. I started painting my kitchen. At 5 o'clock, I finally had something to eat because she'd only had the spirulina all day. She says, I can sleep the full night. I'm no longer incontinent. I have lots of energy. And this part really cracked me up. She says, I just signed up for CrossFit.
No!
87. Like, you go, girl.
Oh my God.
And she said, and by the way, my grocery bill has plummeted because she doesn't have to buy as much food because there's protein. And also there's so many nutrients. You can clear out a multivitamin. You don't need a fish oil. You don't need a collagen. There's more collagen in here than collagen powder. You don't need a biotin. It clears out a lot of that counter space and stuff going, going the expiry dates at different times. And the way I explain supplements versus algae is that, taking a supplement, they have such high numbers in the supplements because they're made from extracts or synthetics, and your body simply can't absorb them very well. So that's why the numbers are so high, because the supplements industry knows you're not going to absorb it. And it's like listening to a soloist. So you take that supplement, that's what, made a flute, and that's a violin, but they don't harmonize. Mm-hmm. Algae is food. It's an agricultural crop. It's been created for us by Mother Nature. We grow it so carefully to preserve all the nutrients so they work well for you. But it's like listening to the orchestra. They harmonize and upgrade, up-level each other. You don't need to worry about taking it with or without food, or with or without citrus. All the enzymes and coenzymes are there. It's all done for you. You don't have to think about it. And so you can clear out all that other stuff. And it's vegan, paleo, carnivore, low cal, low carb, low fiber. It means
universal.
It's literally it plays well with everyone.
Yeah.
My moniker, I call my team was saying we should call you the algae queen, and I said no, I don't want to be the queen because that's you got this you're looking down at people. I said I want to be the algae gal. I'm the algae gal because the gal next door is for everyone.
Yeah.
And algae is for everyone for every reason. Maybe you take it because you want more protein, but you're going to have more energy, or maybe you take it to have better focus, but your skin is going to look amazing. Your hair, this is my own hair. I don't do Botox. I have lots of energy. I got my PhD at the age of 68.
Yeah.
It does amazing stuff.
I'm sold. You're an amazing saleswoman, algae gal. As you're talking about supplements versus food products, and how this is like a superfood, and it's supplement-like, but it's food. It's a whole perfect food. And this is what, organic chemist in Heal, David Hamilton, talks about. It's like when you are testing to make a drug, you're finding something in nature that's healing, and then, say it's like a leaf of a plant or an herb or something. It's like they find the extract, the compound, the thing in there that has the healing properties, and they extract it.
Right.
And it's removed from the orchestra, from this perfect, harmonic design and kind of recipe that Mother Nature grew.
Right.
And when you extract it and then you create a synthetic compound out of that, that is why it has side effects. If it was taken with the whole leaf and how Mother Nature designed that potent little extract, it has everything in it to abate any sort of negative or side effects.
Right.
And so that's same thing with synthetic supplements, or, you're taking it out of this perfect balance. It still has these healing qualities, but it's diminished in a way, or it could cause disruption more than benefit, because it's removed from the orchestra that has the harmony.
Exactly. It's like, if you're a violinist, you broke a string, but who knows? So you just keep going. But so the food component is very important. The other thing, unfortunately, with supplements and even the powders, they use in most cases, and even other algae companies, is why I pride myself so much on what we do. They use high heat. They have to mix it, especially with the powders. And so high heat damages or deactivates enzymes and pigments. And so sure, you might have spirulina and chlorella in there, but they used high heat. And so these nutrients I told you about, like the superoxide dismutase and also the blue pigment phycocyanin, I have science that proves they are deactivated by high heat. So I tell people it's like getting a great deal on a fabulous car, and then you lift the hood and there's no engine. It's like, looks great, doesn't work.
Sounds great, looks great.
So we've never used high heat, which is one of the things I pride myself on. So our algae is a raw food. You could also get raw, fresh spirulina and would have the same benefits as our tablets, because once again, it has not been exposed to high heat. These nutrients are so powerful, but nobody's getting the benefits of them, because 99% of the algae that's out there, they've used high heat to cut corners to get to market quickly. So you've got that car at a great price.
Spirulina
it's not all spirulina. I know. So it's,
ancient wisdom always, again, this is Mother Nature's very first food, really, and live thing, right?
Yeah.
And so it's been around for a very long time. You mentioned Aztecs used to live off it as well. That was back in one of the most advanced civilizations, the pre-Columbian civilization of like the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incas. They were very advanced cultures. And so talk to us a little bit about that, because it's like this has been around and utilized by these advanced civilizations forever. Egyptians.
Yeah. So the Aztecs, it was their main source of food for centuries. And they didn't have fancy production. They just grew it in big ponds. And then what happened was the Spanish, when they conquered them, they saw they thought they were swamps. So they drained them. And the Aztecs lost their main source of food that gave them strength and protein and weakened them. And some people believe this is what led the Spanish to be able to conquer them, because they had lost their main source of food. Pretty sad, right?
Wow.
And even in Africa, even today, they just grow them. They just grow it in big honking ponds and harvest it and slap them together in patties and eat them. It's the main source of food. My goal one day is to be a very substantial company so that we can teach other countries, other people how to grow this and feed themselves, because there is nothing more nourishing than spirulina and chlorella algae. And the reason why we're all suffering here in North America and other parts of the Western world is our food supply is so damaged. Our soils have been so overcropped. There's no minerals left in the soils for the plants to pull up, even if you're eating organic. They've done tests that the nutrients in broccoli is like a tenth of what it was 50 years ago. So we're stuck. And then if you eat processed foods, it's even worse because they're inflammatory. So you can't fuel a car without gas, and you can't fuel your body for optimal performance, mental, physical, emotional, without proper nutrients. We just need them, and they aren't available anywhere in our food supply. And then the flip side, and so spirulina fills all of those nutritional gaps. And then on the flip side, I read that the average adult now has 700 toxins in them. Doesn't matter whether it's from glyphosate, pesticides, there's just microplastics. So chlorella will pull all those toxins out. It does have other nutrients in it, like it has the highest glutathione, which is really healing for your liver. So the two of them solve the two problems that we are facing right now, and this is why I want to grow it here in America. So my visual is I want to build the equivalent of a Disneyland with algae and have busloads of kids coming in and learning how we grow it and having an algae-based lunch and with T-shirts. I mean, they use algae for packaging, for plastics, for fabric. You probably don't know, but every single city uses algae in their water treatment plants because it kills bacteria. They run all the water in every single city through big basins of algae. That's why sometimes you'll see a little green ring on a plate if you have a white plate. It's algae.
Wow.
So it's doing. There's a huge amount of science. There's a huge underground scientific community around algae, but of course, because it's not part of our vernacular here in North America, nobody knows about it. They still think it's pond scum, and it's like, oh no, you have no idea. And that's what fuels me, literally, to tell people about it and to grow it here, so we can take the mystery away and make it more mainstream. But we didn't know about collagen powder until Vital Proteins came along and made it mainstream. We didn't know about bone broth until Ancient Nutrition got it out there. So there's all these foods that have been used in other countries, as you mentioned, in other ancient for ancient purposes that worked, but they haven't been introduced into North America. So that's kind of what I'm doing. What we're doing is we're very science oriented. We're very education oriented. We want to help people understand the why and not just sell them a bunch of stuff. We want you to know why, because it's empowering to know, and it takes away the fear. When you know something and you're educated, it takes away the fear, it takes away the mystery, and it normalizes it. I want algae to be as normal as water, quite honestly.
I mean, it just seems like this is the perfect food supplement that you can get into underserved communities and public schools. Absolutely. And places where nutrition is absolutely food deserts. Like, we should figure out some program to get this product in the hands of all the under malnourished people here in this supposedly most advanced country, and half of us are don't even have a chance just based on where we grow up.
Well, I'll be knocking on Robert Kennedy's door, let me tell you, as soon as I can.
Let's send him some.
I'd like to. If you're listening, please let me know where to send this stuff, because we need you to help us get this to people so they and their families and their pets. I mean, pets love this stuff. That's a testimonial. Pets are smarter than humans, and I tell you, if you give this to your cats or dogs, they will absolutely love you. They will jump up on counters to get more of it. I have a funny story. A customer wrote us and said that they went camping, and in the middle of the night, they were in the Appalachian Mountains. A bear broke into their camp, and so everybody ran away. And when they came back a couple hours later, the baggies of supplements had been ripped open, but all the supplements were still there. And the bag of spirulina ENERGYbits that had been ripped open and licked clean. So even the bears know what's good for them.
That's the perfect litmus right there. I trust the bear. The bear knows. Oh my gosh, I love it. This has been so amazing. I literally this is me being genuine. I'm so excited to start taking this and make some sense. How, for dogs or cats, or what's the dose that you
well, it's sort of like children. If they're a small cat or dog, 5 or 10 pounds, maybe 3 or 4, give two of them as a treat. Some people crush them up and put it in their food. If they're a larger dog, 10 or 15 tablets. Pets have the same health issues. They have cancer. They have digestive issues. Their coats will be shiny. Their digestion will be great. Their energy will be improved. Their eyes will be bright. Their breath will be fresh. It will help correct conditions just like humans do. So, and it's something you really should be taking for the rest of your life. But it will clear out other stuff. Like I mentioned, it will clear out about 5 other supplements. It will probably drop your food bill. If you're camping or traveling, they come in these little pouches of 30 tablets. This will keep you healthy, so you don't have to eat those
especially
crappy
traveling
carbs.
Up in the airplanes, there's radiation. It's great for detox.
I would love one day to have this available for all the airline staff, because they're exposed to all these terrible recirculated airs and toxins. So it's a foundational food, and so I just need to take the mystery and the weirdness away from it. So as you'll notice on our packaging, we call them bits because they're bits of nutrition. Nothing else in it. Nothing added, nothing subtracted. So we say, well, did you take your bits today? So it doesn't, I know people still think algae is that awful pond scum, but by the way, algae gets the bum rap because algae only shows up on your beach when there are toxins and bacteria. Now you can't see the toxins or bacteria, but algae is the cleanup crew, and it'll absorb the toxins and it will kill the bacteria. And the same thing in your body. So algae is the cleanup crew.
So like an algae bloom in the ocean, we were blaming the algae,
Yes.
like, oh, it's so bad, but it's actually there
To-
protecting our
Correct.
oceans and cleaning up the
Correct.
muck.
You still want to stay away from it because it's pulled all those toxins in. This is why you never want algae grown in lakes or the ocean, because you can't keep mycotoxins out of it. There's a company that grows it in Klamath Lake. Please don't take that. I have scientific papers that prove there are mycotoxins in their algae. I won't say who it is, but we grow ours in triple filtered spring mountain water. And we do mycotoxin testing. We do third-party lab tests here in the United States because we don't sell through mass chain stores. We only sell on our website, ENERGYbits.com, or through doctors' offices, biohacking clinics, longevity clinics. So the doctors need to be 100% sure of our purity and that what we say is in there is actually in there. And it costs us, $30,000, $40,000 a year to do these tests, but it's part of who we are.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put something in someone's body unless I'm 100% sure it's going to be safe and do the trick. And I tell you, I eat this stuff every single day and have for 15 years.
Yeah.
So
works.
I'm walking the walk.
So is the bear, and so is that
So
healthy
the bears,
bear out
that's right,
there.
That's right.
Okay, so you use ENERGYbits.com, and
Yes.
we have a code, I'm sure,
Yes,
for
a
our
20%
audience.
discount code.
20% discount, which will be in the show
Oh,
notes,
good, because I
guys.
forgot what it was.
And all the social posts. And thank you so much.
Yes, well, thank you. And thank you for giving me the opportunity because algae is this quiet little force that just needs to be noticed, and it's here to protect us and protect your mitochondria, and then they will protect you. It's a team effort. But it's like that recipe. If you don't know what the ingredients are, it's hard to know what that recipe for good health is. So algae should be one of them.
I love it. And if you want to live, healthily and vibrantly to 100 and beyond, I would trust the thing that's been around for 4 million years.
Billion.
Oh my Lord.
4
See,
billion
I'm a
years.
little-
Yeah.
4 billion.
Yeah. We're only here 2 million. It's been here for 4. It's outlasted us a
see?
big way. So yeah,
Okay.
it just needs to be found.
Amazing. Well, thank you. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you.
And thank
Kelly.
you for your passion.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Heal with Kelly podcast. Be sure to tune in every Thursday for more empowering wisdom and inspiring healing stories. And make sure you hit the follow button on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss that one episode that holds the answer you've been searching for. Oh, and if you found this episode inspiring, please rate, review, and share Heal with Kelly so that we can grow our audience and reach more people. We truly appreciate it. Lots of love.